Hi guys, it's James, and this is a bit of a different video for me. This is a review of a plugin, a really cool plugin by Dehancer, and it's a film emulation plugin. So my background is not really film photography, it's more digital. So I've had very limited experience with film. But this has been quite a cool journey for me as a digital photographer. I've always liked the look of film. I own a Zenith old film camera, and I have shot film with it and got those processed and then developed, and I really like that kind of organic look. And it's nice to have these plugins for people like myself who didn't really get a lot of opportunity growing up to shoot film, a little bit in college but not a great deal, and trying to emulate that look. So Dehancer got in touch and they asked me to do a review on the plugin, and yeah, this is not going to be anything totally in depth. This is just an overview of the plugin, but yeah, I'll go through the plugin with you and I'll edit a photo and show you how the basics of it works and a couple of little pointers along the way. So here we go. This I'm going to use Lightroom and then Photoshop. Lightroom Classic and Adobe Photoshop for Adobe are both supported by Dehancer, but Lightroom, which I'm using, it's not supported. So I got to go to Photoshop in order to use the filter. So that is a bit annoying, and I wish Dehancer would support Lightroom as well. That would make things a lot more helpful. So yeah, and there are a couple of steps you need to do in order to get the best results. One thing you need to do is in Lightroom Classic or Adobe Photoshop, you need to make sure the color space is set to sRGB, and I'll put it along here. That's the color space you need. You also need to make sure that the image is prepped ready for use of the Dehancer plugin, because the looks, the contrast, they're quite strong once you get into the plugin, and the images won't look that good. So you've almost got to make the image a bit flat before you go into Dehancer plugin. You can, once you're in Dehancer, you can actually decide not to use film stock. You can just add all the aesthetics of film without using a film stock if you want to, but you know, the fun is actually using film stocks. So let's get into Lightroom and I'll show you how we prep the photo. So I've created a preset with the suggested settings for your photos. So I've made a pre-Dehancer preset even, and that is basically choosing profile, Adobe standard, exposure -1, contrast -40, blacks +60, keeping our curve nice and straight. And then going down to sharpening 0, color noise 0.2. So sharpening 0 and also noise at 0 values. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little bit of masking before I go over to the Dehancer plugin. I'm just going to bring this sky up a little bit. Okay, that's my bit of masking done. So now that's done, cropped in the way I want it to be cropped. So I'm going to right click, edit in Photoshop. Here we go. In Photoshop, I'm going to create a new layer. Then I'm going to go up the top to filter, down to Dehancer. Now Dehancer is quite easy to install. You literally just go to the Dehancer website. I'll put a link down below. Download the software, choose the version which you want and for what program you're going to be using, install that, and then once that's installed, you go to filter like you can see here, and then you'll see Dehancer. You can get Dehancer as a trial, and I definitely recommend you doing that before you buy, see if you like it. If you do wish to buy the software, there's a 10% promo code down below in the description. It's MadScience10, and that'll give you 10% off. So let's click on Dehancer Film, and I'll open up the panel. Now I'm going to reset everything. Okay, so top left here, we've got profiles. And we've got categories of profiles, all the film stocks. Color negative for those images which you want to have a bit of color in them. Well, these are quite nice, actually. And then you've got other ones like motion picture. These are more for that kind of film Hollywood look. You can go for these, particularly the Kodak Vision 3s. The T is for tungsten, D is for daylight. They're quite nice, actually. And you've got black and white, exotic. Yeah, you've got a few there. And you can also save as favorites as well, so it makes navigating through the 60-odd profiles a bit easier if you put them in your favorites. So what one am I going to go for? Color negative. Agfa, this is an old school kind of film stock from the 50s, I believe. Okay, I quite like that one. So let's go for Agfa Color XR S200. Yeah, let's have a look here. So quite like that. Now the push and pull EV. Now this is essentially under and overexposing the image, but as I understand it, it's not like you would do it in terms of nowadays tweaking the exposure slider and it goes light and dark. With this, it goes light and dark, but it also affects the colors and the contrast. It really changes the overall image. So if I just show you what I mean by that, so see how it's changing it to more of a kind of a warmer look, and then you put it back the other way, it kind of goes, it does go darker, but it starts shifting colors and things. So it's quite of a crazy, for me, again, coming from more of a digital background, it's kind of interesting to see the reaction that this, or the effect it has on the image when you put it from side to side. You punch in and see what it's doing to my swan. Oop, no, that's way too much. Okay, I might just pull it up a little bit. Yeah, like that, that's cool. Okay, so let's get back up to the top. So presets, this is where we have all the presets. So you can create presets, again, which helps with workflow. So, you know, it's very in-depth, this. So if you're doing like some kind of batch workflow, you know, then you might want to create presets to just kind of speed up that workflow. So, so yeah, you have all presets, your own presets, the Dehancer team's presets, feature presets, and then imported presets. So there's quite a list there. You can break it down into subsections to make navigating through all these a lot easier and a lot simpler. Then across there we have the close the panel button, so we can have a full window here devoted to our image we're working on. Then we have the settings here, and this here, update film profiles. This is where we can actually update the film profiles, and as you can see, it ran through quite quick because I'm up to date. And like I said, it'll verify and update the pre-existing film stocks, and then add more if they have any new ones coming through. So that's pretty cool. Processing GPU, blah, 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 some other kind of techie stuff. I usually turn off this render fast previews for image larger than, I just turn that off. So you close that for settings. This one here, like the clock face, so this will, as it says there, restore last used settings. So if you kind of liked your last settings used, then just click that. This will just totally reset everything. This is our undo last edit, and then our redo last edit, which would come in pretty helpful actually with this program. Particularly if you'd experimented and you change your mind. Up the top then, let me close this panel because we picked the film stock. So up the top then we got the, to show or hide the inspector or the Instagram, histogram, not Instagram. We can get a full window if we do that as well. Then we have the one-to-one. You can see me using that earlier. So the one-to-one, turn that off. We can punch in and then look around the image. So if we're doing adjustments, we can see how it's affecting certain parts of the image. So that's pretty sweet. The preview window toggles it on and off. And then with the OK and cancel. So the OK is when we're fine with it, we're happy, and we just press OK, and then we can apply the Dehancer filter. At the top we have source. Let's drop that down. So we have exposure, compensation, temperature, tint, and then the defringing radius. This is for chromatic aberrations. Yeah, we could do a little bit of tweaking here. Do you want to make it a bit warmer? You can always reset or toggle these off as well if you look at the tops here. Film developer, yeah, we can push contrast and things. If we want to add a bit of crunch, we can do that. Let's just punch in. You know, the thing about this plugin, which is so appealing, I think, is because sometimes my background is video and film, so I like to try and create depth within an image, and I think this is a very good plugin to do that, you know, with the contrast and the other aesthetics we can apply. You'll find that it does create a lot of depth and texture, so it's a really good plugin in that regard. So so that's the film developer. Okay, expand. So expand, this is where we can mess with the black points and the white points. So if we want to lift the blacks, bring back the whites, we can. And again, it all goes down to the look. In terms of contrast, we can really affect that. I quite like that, actually. Just -2 might be enough. Just lift the whites, blacks just a little bit. Print. Film is like a two-step process. So you pick your film stock, and then you pick your film paper, like the print, what is to be printed on. And this is quite a significant part of Dehancer. This will really add a bit to the overall image, as you'll see now. So if I go to linear, that kind of flattens it a bit. Cinelog film or Cinefilm log will really flatten the image, make it very washed out. Now, the Kodak 2383 is Hollywood film kind of style print film. So let's apply this and see what it does. Quite a strong look. Perhaps too strong. Kodak Endura, I prefer that for this image. You're not totally getting rid of, you're not crushing everything, and it's making it really blue. We can tweak this as well. We can mess with exposure. Let's bring it up a little bit. Tonal contrast. Ooh, I like that. Yeah. Color density. You want to whack that up. Nice, okay. So color head is next. If you toggle this on, let's reset it all. This is where we can really mess with colors. As you've got a yellow to blue. So if we push it to yellow, it goes really yellow. Yuck. Perhaps not too much. Very small, subtle adjustments. Now, I think I'm going to go, let's reset this. Let's go to the background and see if we can get just a little bit of green coming through. Just a smidge. Ooh. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe a little bit more. Cool. And then a little bit of blue for the sky. Okay. The shadow tones. Let's mess with the shadow tones. So we're being careful not to do too much adjusting there in terms of colors and stuff. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Happy with that. Cool. Right. So let's get on now to the 3 effects which you can get in the plugin. And the first is film grain. Now this is not just an overlay of fuzzy little dots over your image. This is a more thorough process. It's like algorithms it uses to kind of create the film texture. So I'm going to punch in, and this is without the film, and then this is with the film applied. And you can see a huge difference there in terms of image. And this is where it really turns into an old school kind of photograph. Now you've got size and amount, which is normal to have in most film grain application plugins. You often find in DaVinci. But this is a bit more in depth and a bit more realistic. Resolution, that just gives it a bit more of a lesser, fuzzier look. So I always turn that up to about 90 something. If you go all the way down, you can see it gets a bit softer. So I like to have still a bit of detail in the image. So I'll turn that up to 90 odd. Shadows, this is how much grain we're going to have in the shadows. Let's turn it down a little bit. And then your midtones, about 50. Highlights, maybe just a little bit down. So we're still getting that kind of grainy look. That's without, and that's with. Oh, sorry, wrong one. That's without, and that's with. And you can see it really adds a little texture and depth in it. It looks just nicer, you know what I mean? It looks a bit 3D-esque. So I might just put a bit more in the shadows, a bit more in the midtones. Cool. Also, not like most plugins, the actual grain, you can see color in the grain. It's not just black and white like you get usually. So you can really have a more realistic, authentic grain look by adding that color in, which definitely does add to the image, and that looks really nice. Happy with that. Okay, that's grain. So if we go to the contrast areas to show the halation, and this is where you can see the halation at work. So where there's a very contrasty edge, so the trees on the sky, so the dark trees on the bright sky, you can see the halation there. So we turn that off. You can see around the trees, it adds a kind of like a red glow. Again, really authentically replicating film. I've got images with like lights, like neon lights, and it really does show up there, but it does also show up in like more natural images such as this. And again, you can mess with the overall look. You can amp up the halation there, so I've really ramped it up. But I don't like it too much for this image, so I'm going to turn it down till about there. Yeah, that's fine. Underneath then we have bloom, and the bloom will kind of soften the light source. As you can see here, if I toggle it off and on, it kind of softens and gives it more of a softer kind of fall off. Which looks pretty nice. So again, I'm gonna, if I ramp it up, you can see it more pronounced. It's a bit too much. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. And the good thing about these as well is they have a mask mode. So in halation and bloom, you have a mask mode, so you can see exactly where the effect is taking place. So if I ramp up the amplify, so we can see, you can see the trees here outlined. So, you know, if you're struggling to find where the effect is going to be taking place or where the effect is taking place on the image, then just turn on the mask mode and then you can adjust accordingly then. So if I turn down the amplify, you can see the effect is lessening there. Cool. I'm just going to ramp up the exposure a little bit. So going back to film developer, I'm just going to boost the contrast a little bit and the color boost. And let me go to expand. I'm just going to turn down the white points a little bit. All right, little adjustments there. So once I'm happy with the image, then I can just press OK in the top right corner. That then applies it to the image. Save it, and then we'll be back in Lightroom then with the adjusted image, which we can see there. So let's look at a nighttime shot, and just so we can have a real good look at the blue and the halation and what that's doing to the image. So back in Dehancer with a different image, and I've gone for the Kodak Vision 3 250D. So let's see what that looks like. Boom. Cool. All right, let's go to our color boost, a bit of color, film compression. Let's bring up the black points. Bit of that. Okay, let's expand. Print, let's go now to print and see what we got. Now let's choose the Hollywood one. Let's see what it does to the image. Ooh, okay, I like that. I like that. Let's just mess with the contrast. Make it a bit moody. Okay. Color head. Bit of red. Add a bit of red. Maybe a bit of blue. Got a bit of blue going on. Now film grain. Let's add a bit of film grain. Ooh, I like that. Let's turn up the resolution. Let's have a bit more grain in the shadows. Let's push the color as well. Now halation, let's see what halation does. It should really impact on these signs. And as you can see there, let's turn the mask on. Yeah, it's definitely doing a fair bit there. Let's amplify it. Turn the mask off. Yeah. That's doing a bit there, isn't it? Global diffusion. Let's put bloom on. Wow. Yeah, you can see it's really having an impact on the image there. Is it too much? Wow, that's really blooming, isn't it? Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's perhaps too much. Uh, but you know, some people might like the look. It's definitely a strong look. Let's save the lights. Let's put it up. So save the lights is pretty much blinding the lights if you turn it all the way down. Let's leave it all the way up. Impact, let's bring it down a bit. Do you know what? I like that. I do like that. I'm even tempted to put a bit more grain in the image. Let's punch in. That looks authentically filmed to me. You know, that looks really nice. So let's okay that. Make the adjustments. Save. So who is this plugin for? It's for somebody who's not wanting to do or needs to do any real large exports of film. So somebody like who does like event, wedding photography, somebody who needs to be quick and have an overall look for all their photos and send them out. I wouldn't recommend this plugin because there's a multiple factor process in the workflow to get the image, and you can do it one by one. Like I said, you can save presets and what have you, but it's still not going to be enough, I think, to speed up your workflow if you're definitely dealing in batch kind of delivery of photos to clients. But if you're into film and you want to create that film look without having to buy and develop film and all that, then this is really good. This is a really good program. A program which I'm using more now. I'm getting into it, really trying to find that look. I'm having a lot of fun, and even for me who doesn't have a film background, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm slowly getting to grips with the plugin. And I've used other film emulation plugins before, but this one seems to be quite authentic in its look. Come follow me on Instagram. Uploading a lot using this plugin, and like I said, there's 10% off if you want to buy this plugin with the promo code down below, MadScience10. So yeah, that's it for me. Thanks, guys. Yeah, any comments, leave us in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.